about simplifying surds, adding surds, and expanding brackets with surds. Now, a surd is an irrational number. It's a way to communicate really long numbers in a much easier way. Now, when you are simplifying surds, you've got to understand that root A multiplied by root B is root AB. So when I am multiplying things like root 3 multiplied by root 5, it does create root 15, okay? Because I just do my 3 multiplied by my 5. So what I'm looking to do is I'm looking for two numbers that will multiply to make root 32, but as roots. Now, when I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking about, 1 times root 32, or 4 times root 8, or 2 times root 16, I've got to be thinking about, well, how can I make the surd as small as possible and the number on the outside as big as possible? And the way to do that is to look for your biggest square number from my square number list. So I've written this up to root 100. I'd probably recommend that you guys do that. And what I'm going for is the biggest square number from that list, which is, of course, root 16. Okay. And what would I multiply by 16 to make 32 would be root 2. So root 16 times root 2 is root 32. So to simplify this a bit more, I know that root 16 can be written as 4, which is 4 multiplied by root 2, and that can just be written as 4 root 2. So if we make this a tiny bit harder, I've now got 5 root 8, which means 5 multiplied by root 8. The only bit that I can simplify is the root 8, so I'm looking down my square numbers list, and what's my biggest number that will multiply to make 8, which is of course 4. So I've got root 4 multiplied by what will be root 2, but I must remember to bring that 5 down, so that it's 5 times root 4 times by root 2. 5 times root 4 is not root 20 because the 5 is not under a root, so I just leave it alone. And then from here, all I'm doing is simplifying the root 4, which is 2. So I've now got 5 multiplied by 2 multiplied by root 2. 5 times 2 is 10 times by root 2, and then I've just got 10 root 2. The next thing that we can do with this is we can add and subtract surds. Now, when you're adding and subtracting surds, a bit like collecting like terms, you need things to be the same, like adding your a's together, adding your b's together, adding your a squares together, etc. With these, you need the same surd. So the only way that I can add them together is if I've got something like 7 root 11 plus 2 root 11. Now, if I read that as 7 lots of root 11, because it means to multiply, doesn't it, plus 2 lots of root 11, then in total I have got 9 lots of root 11. So I need those surds to be the same. One way to make them the same is to simplify them. And I'm going to give you a trick here, or a tip, which is to simplify the smallest one. So if I simplify the root 20, that is going to go to my biggest square number there is root 4 multiplied by root 5, which is 2 times root 5, which is just 2 root 5. Now I've already got part of my answer already because I've got the root 5. This has to contain root 5. And then it's what would I multiply by the root 5 to make 45? Well, that is of course going to be root 9 times by root 5, which is of course 3. Root 9 is 3 times by root 5. And then simplifying it further, I've got 3 root 5. The only thing I need to remember is am I adding or subtracting, which in this case I'm adding. 3 lots of root 5 plus 2 lots of root 5 is 5 lots of root 5. Moving along, so what I've done now is I've added that number on the outside, and again, I've looked to subtract them this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify this one first, okay, which means 2 times by root 24. So I'm going to simplify the root 24 first. Going down my list, the 4 is going to be that biggest number to multiply to root 24. So I've got root 4 multiplied by root 6, and I must remember that that 2 has to come down with it. So then I've got 2 multiplied by what would be 2, because root 4 is 2, multiplied by root 6. So in the end, I've got 4 times by root 6, which is just 4 root 6. So I've got the big giveaway now, because I know that my answer must contain root 6. So I'm going to say that that one is root 6. What would I times by 6 to make 54? That is root 9, which times by root 6. And then, of course, it's being times by 5 at the beginning, okay? So 5 multiplied by root 9 is 3, times by root 6, which is 15, times by root 6, which is just 15 root 6. And then I must remember at the end, when I'm adding or subtracting these, 15 subtract 4 is going to be 11 root 6. 2 more to show you off the back of this. So now I've got some brackets, and the method that I'm recommending when you are expanding your brackets is FOIL, first, other, inside, last. So if I've got something like x plus 2 multiplied by x plus 3, then what I do is I multiply my first term by my first term, which is x squared. I multiply my first term by my other, which is 3x. I multiply my inside by my inside, which is 2x. And then I multiply my inside by my last, which is of course 6. You can simplify, because you can simplify the middle bit, which would then give us x squared. 3x plus 2x is 5x plus 6. Exactly the same method that I want you to use here, okay? So I'm going to go for my first one, multiplied by my first one. Well, 4 multiplied by 3 is 12. Then I've got my first one times my other one, which 4 lots of root 7 is going to be 4 root 7. Then got my inside times my inside, 3 times root 7, which is going to be 3 lots of root 7. And then I've got my inside times my last one, which is root 7 times root 7. Now, most of you will be like, oh, well, that's root 49. Yes, it is, absolutely. But that's not the way that I want you to go straight to it. Root 49 is 7, okay? So just write just the 7. You know, if you've got root 5 multiplied by root 5, that would give you root 25, which we know is 5, okay? So we can go straight to that 5. And then just bring your numbers together. 12 plus 7 is 19. And then you've got 4 lots of root 7 plus 3 lots of root 7 as 7 root 7. The last one that I've got to show you before I give you some questions is this one here. And we can see there is a big increase in difficulty because we've got these now. So still go with the same method though. So you've got 4 multiplied by 4, which is 16. And then you've got 4 multiplied by 2 root 12. So you've got 4 times by 2 times by root 12, which 4 times 2 is 8. So you've got 8 root 12 plus 8 root 12. Then you've got your inside times your inside. So 4 lots of 4 root 12, which is 16 root 12. And then in my opinion, the hardest bit is this bit here, where you've got to do 4 root 12 multiplied by 2 root 12. Now remember that these mean 4 times by root 12 times by 2 times by root 12. Multiplication is commutative, so we can write it any way that we want to. So we could rewrite this as 2 multiplied by 4 multiplied by root 12 multiplied by root 12. And hopefully that's much nicer for you to look at. 2 times 4 is 8. Root 12 times root 12 is 12. And 8 times 12 is 96. So then I'm adding 96 on the end. So when I'm adding these together, I add my numbers together, which 16 plus 96 gives me 112. Plus 8 lots of root 12 plus 16 lots of root 12 is 24 root 12. But we're not quite done there because we've got to simplify that root 12. That root 12 can be split up, can't it? Into root 4 multiplied by root 3. But remember to bring that 24 down because it's 24 times by that. Root 4 is 2. So then you've got 24 multiplied by 2 multiplied by root 3, which is 48 times by root 3, which is 48 root 3. And then, of course, remember about you are adding 112 at the start. So you got 112 plus that. Hope that was okay in terms of the explanations for you. Now, I have got a set of questions for you to do now. So this is the one that I'd like you to start on. I'd recommend only doing bronze and silver from this screen. Don't worry about gold for just yet, just adding those two. And your solutions are going to be shown in 3, 2, 1. And then the next task that I'd like you to do is this one here. Again, I'd do bronze, silver and gold here. Silver, just the extra layer is that you've got to simplify, obviously, the root 27 there. And your answers are coming in 3, 2, 1. Hope that was helpful for you. Have a great day. See you later.